next victory. I need a pound on the chest like Tito, man.
I got you. Hey, but the thing is that after the win, you have so much thing in your mind that you want to do. Like I've been practicing this for like the past 3 fights. I haven't done it yet. I've been practicing getting in the rope and saying, this is boxing, this is Sparring. I haven't done it yet. It's just so many things.
Is mini Puerto Rico, and boy, did he make them happy and give them something to celebrate, Tim. He wasted no time.
Hispanics are causing panic, baby. Let's do it.
11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. What a fight! I think the winner won it. Juan, the Hispanic causing panic, Lascano.
Thanks to those joining me live and to those that'll be joining me on archive. D-Style Boxing here with this in archive. Hit that like button. Share this video on all your social media platforms. Subscribe if you like the content. Hit that bell button. Hit the all. That way you're notified every time D-Style Boxing comes on live. This is Hispanics Causing Panic, episode 67. Who's down with HCP, everybody? I'm being joined by Joe Habib from Ringside Reporter and also Dave from the 48 from the Shoe Shine. Catch both their shows here on YouTube. They'll plug it in. But right now, our guest of the evening is the one and the only Christina Cruz, about to make her professional debut. We're going to make no mistake about it. She's a professional in her own right as a longtime amateur standout. How are you doing today, Christina?
I am doing great. I am home right now, relaxed, talking to you guys. Everything's all good.
Hey, that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. Shout out to Black and Brown, Shoe Shine in the chat, Chicano Prophet, Sergeant Nando Llamas, everybody, man. Frank Yeager, DJ Mexicano de Tejas, thank you for being here and share this video, please. No, Paul, how's it going? H Money, Mr. DAZN, how's it going? Hashtag HCP when you share this video. So, Christina, before we talk about, because you're going to make a debut, it's going to be on Trilla, right? And all that, because it's the thriller, you know. But before we talk about that, I want to talk about, you know, what happened. Because the last time I had you on my, you know, here on my channel, it was on the round table, and I had asked you, are you going to turn pro? And you said, you know, my dream is to go for Olympic gold. That's what you said. That's what you were going for. You don't want to be an alternate. You went to Puerto Rico, to the homeland, and all you wanted is your shot to qualify. You didn't even get your shot. Talk to us. What happened?
So the plan was never to go pro. It was always the Olympic dream. And because I lost my opportunity to go to the Olympics, I had to kind of reevaluate my boxing career. And it came to me having to talk to coaches, close friends, family, and I came up with the decision to turn pro. And it was because our boxing qualifier, the America's qualifier, was canceled. It was canceled due to the pandemic. And I don't know, do you want me to get to the beginning of how everything went?
Of course, yes.
So in 2020, there was 2 qualifiers to qualify for the Olympics. You have the America qualifiers, which is our continent, all the Americas competing against each other. And I'll talk about my weight class specifically. In my weight class, they'll take 4 from my weight class from the Americas. And then there was World Championships where they were going to take the top 5 at World Championships in my weight class to the Olympic Games. And in 2020, when the pandemic hit, they postponed our first qualifier, which was supposed to be the America qualifier. They postponed it, didn't give us a date. Then World Championships was after that, which was supposed to be held in June 2020, and they decided to cancel that indefinitely. So that left only one qualifier. So then the BTF came up with a ranking system because they canceled that Worlds qualifier, and they came up with this ranking system where they would take the top at the rankings into the Olympic Games just for that world qualifier. So we still had our continentals. Then a year later, where they rescheduled our qualifier, again, 3 weeks before leaving to qualifiers, they canceled the America qualifiers, leaving us with no chance to be able to compete for a spot. And what they did was they went to the ranking system, and the ranking system was created during the pandemic. And what they did was base it on tournaments from 2 and 3 years ago that I didn't go to. So I didn't fall within the qualification procedures. So that's how my dreams were smashed.
When you say 4 fighters from the Americas, are you talking about like the Caribbean islands or like does that include the US and Mexico?
Right. So North America, South America, Central America, Caribbean islands.
Okay. So they based it off of why weren't you in those tournaments, if you don't mind me asking?
So I think in 2019, I know one of the tournaments, USA Boxing decided not to. No, that was 2018. Excuse me. In 2019, two of those tournaments went on, and I didn't go to those tournaments. That was my time period to be able to transfer to Puerto Rico. So I didn't compete internationally that entire year for 2019. If I did, I wouldn't have been able to transfer to Puerto Rico. And then one of the tournaments, World Championships in 2018, I competed at it, but not in that Olympic weight class. So that's how it worked out for me.
Man, that is tough luck. But so what happened? Because you told us backstage, I mean, the Europeans had their tournaments. Everyone else needs to have their tournaments, right? I understand there's a pandemic going on, but there should be an apparatus in place to make these things happen. What happened? Like, were you given an explanation?
Honestly, I think it was just poor planning. The BTF, which is the boxing task force, they didn't have a backup plan if qualifiers were going to be canceled. I mean, their backup plan was the rankings. And they kind of just went that route, not thinking a lot of athletes were going to be left out, and not just like any athlete, like the best in the world. So there's a lot of athletes from the Americas that should be there. And I don't want to say should be there because you have to qualify your spot, but should have that chance to have gone.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's
insane. We live in unprecedented times, and I know everyone kind of has their own story on how like the pandemic affected them, but you know, that's mine.
Yeah. I mean, this is, I mean, obviously no way is good, but I'm pretty sure you would rather have competed and maybe lost the match, right?
I would have rather gotten knocked out at qualifiers and not had the opportunity to compete for my spot. And again, like the Americas we were the only group, the only continent that didn't allow to compete for that spot. The Europeans, the Asians, the African continental qualifiers, they all went on, and just ours was canceled.
Now, I understand you said that there was probably some, bad planning. Do you think there'll be any consequences for this? Do you think any official will be replaced because of this?
I don't think so, because everything needs to be approved, right? So they got it approved, and they went down the right route of what they had to do to make it happen. I just think they could have done a better job with planning it out. For myself, I actually got on phone calls with them. I called the BTF, which is the Boxing Task Force, and they're a section of the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, that specifically focuses on boxing because they took over from AIBA because AIBA was suspended. I got onto phone calls with them with my lawyer and things like that, and it was too late to be able to do anything about it. But I gave my suggestions, and I didn't just fight for myself. I fought for all the athletes that were being left out.
So technically, the pros can compete in the Olympics. So would you ever consider trying to compete again?
Probably not. I think in 3 years from now, I will have a significant amount of fights already in the pros, and my mind will probably just be somewhere else. Once I move on from something, I'm over it, and I always kind of look forward.
Are you bitter from this whole ordeal? Do you?
No, not.
Do you look at it as you had all these amateur fights, and this was supposed to be the culmination, but now it didn't happen. So can you put that in the rear view and just say, you know what, I'll make up for it in the pros? Is that the attitude that you're having moving forward?
No. So I mean, initially when I first found out what was happening, I was like, oh man, this is like bullshit. This is so not fair. And I still believe it's unfair. But looking back at my amateur career and all that I've done, I've had the most amazing time of my life. Like competing as an amateur these past 16, 17 years, I've done things that, you know, people could dream of. Like who gets to sit there and represent their country and travel the world and meet different people and see different cultures and see the world. And I just had such an amazing time, and I got to, you know, really sit down with myself and like ask myself those questions. Am I bitter about it? And, you know, I thought it could have been a better job could have been done, but it is what it is. And I'm grateful for everything that I have. Sorry, my lights just went on right there. Whenever the sun sets,
that gives you more feel. You know what I mean? It's like destiny. You know, like we're moving on to the next level. Look at this.
Right,
you know what I mean?
That's a sign. That's a sign.
That's a sign. That's a sign. Or maybe do you see it as, you know, I don't know where you stand as far as, you know, what you believe in and spirituality and all that, but maybe a sign, maybe like, you know what, maybe this is meant to be. Maybe I'm supposed to go this route, you know, maybe this is a detour, but maybe going pro is now going to open something for another opportunity for me. You know, are you kind of thinking about that?
Yeah, I mean, I am somebody that believes that everything happens for a reason. And I just think that for myself, that this didn't happen, that there's something better out there that's going to happen for me. I don't know what it is. It's probably not even in the sport of boxing, but I do truly, wholly believe that with all my heart.
Is there a particular promoter that you would like to link up with? Is there someone on your mind that you've been thinking about, or are you not even thinking about that right now?
If I sit here and think, there is, but I don't know if I want to say it out loud.
Okay. The highest bidder, right? Like the highest bidder.
Right. Just honestly, somebody or a promotional company who's really going to value women's boxing and me as a fighter as well. Yeah. You know, someone who's really going to support and put me out there.
Yeah, there's one name that I could mention too, but
yeah, we don't have to say it out loud.
I'm not going to say it, out loud, but I'll say that this person is doing a great job.
Yeah,
with women's boxing.
I agree.
It's like when I sold my Firebird, I didn't throw money out there. The dude offered me 3 times more than what I was thinking of. So you weigh your options, you know.
Right.
Here's like something I want to ask you. First of all, do you know your amateur record off the top of your head?
Oof, I know BoxRec has like 160 of my fights, but I have over 200 amateur fights. I don't know what the record is. If I had to guess, maybe like I probably have about 40 losses and then 100 or maybe 200 wins. I don't know. Okay. Something like that. I have a lot of fights. I should go back one day, just grab all my amateur books and kind of count them.
They have you at 93 and 39.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, there's a lot of fights that they're missing, especially in the beginning of my career.
I stopped bringing up the BoxRec record for amateurs because they always tell me that's wrong, right? Like,
yeah, I actually looked through them once, and a couple of my fights they had incorrect. They had me losing to somebody I don't even know.
Wow. Well, we can't do that now. You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, it is what it is. Talk to us about being an amateur, right? Before we talk about your path towards the pros, I want to ask you about being an amateur. The word amateur, you know, kind of gives that perception that, it doesn't really require that much, I guess, skill as a pros or something like that.
Right. It's the word amateur sounds amateur.
Right. Talk to us about the difference in the amateurs, you know, and and how difficult it is to compete at the highest of levels, right?
Right. So when I think of amateur boxing, I think of people competing at a local level. That's what I think of. Because once you make it past a certain point, especially when you make the national team, you start getting paid, you start getting endorsements, so you're making money. And you're making money, you're a professional, right? You're the best at what you can do in that sport. So that's how I look at it. And I try not to call it amateur boxing. I call it instead Olympic style boxing.
Okay.
Because I don't know. The amateur word, it is a little weird, right? When you compete, when you get up to that level, a lot of things change, and you kind of get taken away from your environment, and you're put in this environment of just, athletes, and you're away from family, and all you're doing is training, and everything you do around training has to do with boxing. It's very difficult. I don't want to say difficult because it's normal for us, I guess you would say, but from someone from the outside, I guess telling them, it may sound hard. But a lot of these younger athletes, let's say Shakur, for instance, when he was on the national team, he's 16, 17 years old, and you're being taken away from your environment, and you're put in this professional environment where you're on schedule, and you have to, make it everywhere on time, eat a certain way. You have to see your nutritionist. You have to do interviews. I think it could become a little challenging, but it's also great because it teaches them a lot for when they do go into the pro ranks. And then as far as competing in a competition, in an amateur competition, and I know this sounds crazy, I believe it's so much harder to get a world medal than it is to get a world championship belt in the pros. You're competing against the best in the world. You can't choose who you compete against. So every fighter you're fighting against the number one of that country. And especially in the other countries, a lot of these guys don't turn pro. So sometimes you're an 18-year-old kid fighting a 30-something-year-old person. And then you're fighting 6 times out of a week. And you're not just competing 6 times out of the week. You're weighing in 6 times. So every morning before you fight, you have to do another weigh-in. So that's just another struggle that a lot of people don't know about. When I explain it to people, they're like, oh my God, because it is insane. It's insane. You're fighting dehydrated, you're fighting hurt. By the time you reach like the 3rd fight, it's just like, oh, it's all mental from there.
Man, oh man. So I'm guessing you're looking forward to just having a weigh-in for that one fight, and then you can chill, right?
Right.
Are you going to be eating donuts? Or are you going to be eating like some, potato chips?
I'll probably have pizza after the fight, but I think I'm a pretty disciplined person when it comes to competing.
Yeah. Now, for those that don't know, if you follow Cristina Cruz on Instagram, I mean, it seems like every day, it's like you're a gym rat. Like every day you're working out, every day you're putting in that work. Yeah. Is you turning pro, is a lot of it gonna just be the same thing, just continuing to do the same thing, or is there gonna be some changes to your lifestyle, let's say, now that you're going pro?
That's actually a really good question, and something I've been thinking about a lot. And I actually got onto a phone call with Michaela Mayer when she found out I was turning pro. She called me, and she was just explaining it to me how much easier it is than us in the amateurs, because in the amateurs, again, we were away from family all the time, and we were competing like every month. Like after a tournament, we got to go home for a week, and then you're back into training camp. And she was just explaining to me those things and how much freedom she has now as a pro boxer. So that's something I'm definitely looking into, and then being able to like utilize my pro status to open up some other doors for some goals that I have for myself.
Okay.
But as far as training, I think, I guess I am a gym rat. I love being in there, especially where we train. We have such a great environment. I have a great coach, great teammates, so supportive, and it's fun to wake up every morning and go there.
We hear so much about like there's the amateur style and there's the pro style. Do you see yourself changing up your style or tweaking your style at all for the pros, or do you feel as though that what you've done in the amateurs is going to be enough?
I do see I might make some changes because in the amateurs you only have 3 rounds, right? So you have very little time to score. So it's very high intensity mitt work, you would say, and training on the bag. And I think within the pros, I get to slow that down a little more and kind of pick my shots more, focus on sitting on my punches to be able to hurt someone and things like that. And I think they're just little minute changes. I think I'll still have the same style, but I think in the pros you'll be able to really see my style come to light. Whereas in the amateurs, it was just like I'm so worried about scoring. Like they hit me, okay, I gotta hit them 5 times.
You'd be more poised as a pro, more relaxed, and you can let the fight unfold a little bit instead of having to rush it. Because sometimes when you're saying to yourself, I gotta do a lot because I don't have much time to do it, you're not really sitting, like you said, you're not going to be able to sit down. You just try to run those combinations and you're not worried about really sitting down on them. Yeah. Right.
And right now, I don't want to say it's an issue, but something that's crossed my mind. So I was in the amateurs competing at 3-minute rounds. Now I'll be competing at 2-minute rounds, which I don't know if I'm comfortable with yet. I know that sounds crazy. Somebody else would be like, oh, that's kind of cool. You're in there shorter time. You'll have more energy. But no, I think I would like more time to be able to show off what I can do. And I think that one of the things about women's boxing is the reason why you don't see that many knockouts and things like that is because we don't have the same amount of time as the men do.
So you see yourself, getting into the 6th round is faster than normal because you've already kind of been acclimated to the time. So Right. So for my pro debut, it's supposed to be a 6-rounder. Oh, great. Good. That's good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
There we go.
Yeah. 6 rounders.
So they're fast tracking you right off the bat then.
Yeah.
I think they have to, right? I think they have to. The hourglass won't stop.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. I'm excited though about it.
You don't have to say any names, but
okay.
Have you sparred some pros and said to yourself, "Yeah, they ain't ready for me"? Of
course.
Yeah, okay. Is that
not with the mindset of they're not ready for me. That's not how I approach training or sparring or just any human being. I don't approach it that way. Everything is I'm very non-emotional. I'm not an emotional person going into the ring. So I don't look at it, but after the sparring, I'm like, I do think to myself, they're pro, and I was able to do that pretty easy. So I just tell myself, I think I'll be fine in the pros.
Yeah. Well, speaking of sparring too, because one thing that's irritating me lately is you hear all these fighters talk about how I did this to this guy in sparring, I did that to that guy in sparring, and to me, sparring's practice. I mean, it's not you're not there to beat each other up. You're there to practice. How frustrating is that when you hear stuff like that? And what is your take on that?
All right, that's a good question. So my take on that is you can't compare it because in a sparring environment, you're comfortable. You're comfortable. You don't have a crowd there watching over you. You're sometimes sparring with the same people over and over again, so you kind of know that individual. It's a comfortable environment, well, at least for me. So I would never compare my sparring to a fight or anybody sparring to how they compete.
Okay. Are there some, like you said, you had some losses, of course, right, in the amateurs?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
In some of those fights, do you feel like if it was a pro style that you would have beaten a lot of those girls?
Definitely. I think with the amateur system of scoring, it has changed throughout the years. So when I first started boxing, like the first 10 years, it was a point system where you score a scoring blow and you get a 1 point just for hitting them. Whereas in a few years ago, I think it was right before the 2016 Olympics, they changed it to a 10 must system, like the pros kind of. And I think that left a lot of people confused, especially the referees. And I think in different countries and different states, I think they're all being trained differently. I know that sounds insane, but that's what goes on in my head when I think about that, because sometimes I see decisions and I'm like, I'm not someone who like believes in conspiracies, like, oh, that person doesn't like me. I just think they like do a bad job sometimes.
We have some questions from the chat here. Aryan's asking, which division are you going to campaign in the pros? What are you looking at?
Division?
Yes.
Flyweight. So we're shooting for 112 pounds flyweight division. For my pro debut, we're shooting for that weight. If I have to give a few pounds, I will, just to get that fight. But we're looking at the flyweight division.
Okay. All right. And of course, Nancy from the Boxing Republic, what are some of the sacrifices your family has made to help you get where you are today?
My family, they've just been really supportive. As far as like them sacrificing, I don't think they really had to sacrifice anything besides allowing me to get in the ring.
Right.
But for myself, as far as sacrifices, I don't want to say that I sacrificed anything, because I think everything that I did, leaving my family, not going, hanging out late with friends or going partying and all that stuff, those are things I didn't want to do. So I don't consider them sacrifices. I just considered, everything that I did as an amateur fighter was everything that I wanted to do. So I don't feel like I sacrificed anything.
All right. Well said. 408, you got any questions, brother?
Yeah, Christina, I'm wondering if you were influenced at all making your choice by male fighters, professional male fighters, because I had a interview I did with a little known Canadian fighter, Lucas Prince Body, a lightweight prospect, and one of his deepest memories in the international circuit, amateur circuit, was a conversation he had with Teofimo Lopez on a bus ride, and where they both said expressed their frustration with making their Olympic teams, their prospective countries' Olympic teams, and we see how that's panned out for Teofimo, just completely disregarding making the Olympic team after it. We see how it panned out for him. He's now the lightweight champion of the world. So I was wondering if you had conversations with any pro boxers that were males.
About turning pro, not really. The decision to turn pro was almost like a secret. Like, I didn't tell anybody. The only people who knew were my coaches at the time, and we kind of just kept it amongst ourselves because we didn't know what was going to happen, right? So I never really had that conversation. But besides with a female fighter, my friend Michaela, we did have that conversation, and it did make me feel better about it. I was already excited, but it just gave me a little bit more. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And do you see yourself maybe following in Michaela's footsteps? I know she's getting some airtime now as a commentator as well, and that's going really well.
Definitely. She's doing a great job. She speaks well on camera. She's really advocating for women's boxing, and I'm here to back her up and join her.
Absolutely. Is that something you're interested in, like live commentating, or you just want to stick to the boxing?
I'll definitely do that. I've done it once at a local show. It was actually at the Barclays Center at the Golden Gloves, which is a big deal in New York, by the way. And I got to do it with Lou DiBella, and I got to commentate like 2 or 3 fights there right after I fought. So my energy was like super high, but it was fun. And I guess that would be something I would love to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk to us about the Golden Gloves. What can you explain to the fans out there the difference between the Golden Gloves and like Olympic style boxing? Like what are the main differences? By the way, I'm a big fan of the Golden Gloves in general, but
it's funny you say that, because the big joke, like with myself and amongst other boxers, is when we have family members come up to us and they're like, "Oh, I was Golden Gloves," and we're like, "What? Like what does that mean?" But Golden Gloves, it's more on a local level. The New York Daily News Golden Gloves was probably one of the most historical tournaments in the history of amateur boxing. They actually discontinued it, which is very sad for me, and it's part of one of my goals in the future. We can talk about that after. But Golden Gloves is more on a local level. It's bragging rights. It's being able to show your city what you can do, and then the winner from that goes to National Golden Gloves, which is on a national level, but it's a different scene.
Okay. All right. Hey, shout out to the Boxing Republic. I appreciate the support and that super sticker. Much appreciated to Nancy. Check them out tomorrow on Women Crushing It Wednesday on the In the Ring with Christine channel. So you're going to go to Trilla. You give everybody the date when you're going to be fighting, Christina?
I'm fighting August 3rd at Madison Square Garden, the theater, the Hulu Theater at Madison Square Garden. Michael Hunter will be the main event. And I'm ready to put on a show. I'm excited. This is going to be the first time I can't even. I don't even know how many years that I get to fight home in front of my family.
So who's the poor girl that you're gonna fight? Because I mean, all this happened to you. You didn't get to compete. Like you did all this training, they didn't even let you compete. You couldn't compete. You're gonna take out your frustration on somebody, right?
Yeah, I'm dying to get in there. Right now we don't have an opponent, but we're looking for an opponent. They're working really, really hard. I'm sure they'll be able to do it. But yeah, as far as telling you how I'm gonna fight, I really don't know. To me, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, man. I'm just gonna tell you, right? I know you say you're not like, obviously, like you said, you're not. You don't take emotion to the ring, but will there be some emotion in this fight? Pro debut. Do you think you're gonna just let out a lot of frustration here, beat somebody up? Like or are you gonna? Do you think you'll be able to contain those emotions?
I think I'll be able to contain them, but I do have in mind of making a statement. Letting everyone know I'm back,
Okay.
Especially back in New York. So one thing that you guys probably don't know, I actually made history at Madison Square Garden. So I broke Mark Breland's Golden Glove record there. So it's really a special thing to be competing at the theater there for me.
Hey, there's something special about the Garden for sure.
Right, right.
Especially in the pro ranks. And, of course, there'll be a crowd there. When's the last time you fought in front of a crowd?
The last time I fought in front of a crowd was probably Olympic trials, 2020 Olympic trial. Oh, no, actually, it was a tournament in Bulgaria, which was this deciding factor of who's going to make Team USA. I made it to the finals against Virginia Fuchs, who's on the team right now. That was the last time. So that was January of 2020. I did go to a tournament after that, but there was no crowd. It was just it was weird.
Okay. Now you did mention about sparring women that are pros. Did many of them request to spar you just 2 minutes? Like, is that like a request that you were used to?
So I've had a few. It's rare, but I did have a few that requested that. I wasn't thrilled about it because there was one girl that came and I specifically told them, look, if you want to spar with us, it has to be 3-minute rounds because I'm going into competition like in 3 weeks. And when they got here, they wanted 2-minute rounds. They said they agreed to it on phone, but when they got there, they wanted 2-minute rounds, and we're just like, all right, let's do it. And
yeah, but they're the ones that
it
have
worked out in my favor.
Right? You want to fight her? Do you want to fight her? Do you want to fight her in the ring?
No. She's actually a very nice girl, and it wasn't her. It was her team.
Okay. Do you want to fight her manager? But there you go. Do you think, one thing you said when you were on the round table this back in January that your style will be very suited for the pros. You said, I think you guys will like my style in the pros. Can you kind of explain your style for those that haven't seen you fight?
I'm a very in and out technical fighter, very smooth looking, I guess you would say, in the ring. I pick my shots well. I have great accuracy. I think my footwork is awesome. It's, I guess one of my best things you would say is it's entertaining. Okay. I guess I want to say entertaining to somebody who knows boxing, who knows boxing, loves boxing. Because sometimes the crowd just wants to kind of see you go in there and just do this. And I can do that, but why take punches?
So you're like a female Ivan Calderon.
A female Willie Pep.
Okay.
All right. Are you gonna win a round without landing a punch?
Yeah, I'll try that one day. If I know I'm up, I'll probably try that.
But now, one question about the 2-minute rounds. I know we touched on that, but you did mention it's going to be like an adjustment. So, because I think it gives a lot of these girls like the ability to just throw a lot of punches, whether they land or not. They're going to have a lot of activity. And they don't really have to, they could gas out, but it's less likely to happen with just 2-minute rounds, right?
Right.
And I think that's something you're prepared for because they're just going to be throwing punches at you to just try to win that round. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, the good thing is that I'm coming from amateurs, so I know how that kind of pressure is. But I think that was one of the biggest mistakes in the amateurs where they were scoring and you'd get a lot of decisions that people would agree with, you'd get these fighters they're just throwing, and I could be blocking every single one, and they could win the fight just because they were more active. I do think about that going into the pros, especially in the beginning, fighting shorter rounds. I that is in my mind. So if I have to go in there, and I'm going to do whatever I have to do to win, basically. That's just how I'm going to fight. So if I have to sit there and make sure I just throw more punches than the other person, I will. If I feel like I have the opportunity to box, I will. But yeah, I'm just going to go in for a W, whichever way I can get it.
Can you name us 3 women right now, pros, that you look at as inspiration as you now go to the pro ranks?
I have to say my friends, Clarissa Shields, Michaela Mayer. I look at them as inspiration. Katie Taylor, she's, I've always loved watching her fight, even, as an amateur. I think those are the girls I really, really look at and really say to myself, like, they're fucking doing it. Like, I love this, All
right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Cristina, we definitely want to thank you for taking the time to come on the show. We definitely appreciate it.
Thank
and
you.
Waiting for HCP to be the first podcast that you interview. We definitely appreciate that as well. All right.
No problem.
We definitely hope you stay. You are down with HCP. And tell everybody where they can find you on social media.
So you can find me.
Watch your journey. To the
yeah, of course. You can find me on Instagram at Christina Cruz Box. You can find me at Twitter at Christina Boxing, and you can find me on Facebook at Christina Cruz Boxing.
There you go. Those are all the platforms. And anything, any last words you have for the fans watching out there?
I guess thank you guys for the support. Throughout my amateur career, I've had so many great supporters. I never felt hate towards me. I never allowed that in my circle, but just like the fans that I have are the greatest. And I would like to thank you guys for giving me this platform to be able to tell my story.
Absolutely. The one and only Cristina Cruz. And we look forward to watching your journey and having you back once you punish whoever this person is. You know what I mean? So
definitely.
Prayers for prayers for Cristina's opponent. Okay. So there we go. Have a good one, Cristina.
Thank you guys. Good night and enjoy the show. Bye.
Absolutely. The one and the only Cristina Cruz. What do you think, B? Are you a bigger fan now than you were before?
When one door closes, another one opens. That's the story. Right. That's the story of life, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Story of life. Story of life. And you know what? There's a lot of moves in the boxing world right now for a lot of these women fighters, and we're gonna see, man, because a lot of these women amateurs that go to pros are really outclassing and beating up a lot of these, old guard women fighters, right? I mean, there is a void that is being filled by a lot of the amateurs turning pros. A lot has changed ever since women's boxing was entered into the Olympics in 2012. And we're seeing it manifest from Clarissa Shields to, Katie Taylor. And it's only going to grow from there. And now 112 division in the women's ranks have somebody else to look forward to right there. Shout out to Nancy from the Boxing Republic. Once again, thank you for that super chat and that support. Much appreciated. What's going on, Dave? How's it going, brother?
Man, that was a great to have her on there. She finds herself in the company of a lot of guys that you've had on your own podcast, like Xander Zayas making that decision at a very young age, 17. Do I keep pursuing this Olympic dream and what the athletes are going through right now in Japan? And he made that bold choice with his family. Gabe Flores didn't participate. There's a whole slew of champions right now that did not participate in the Olympics. But our Olympic team is stacked. God bless Christine, who's out there doing her thing for Team USA Boxing. The female Olympic team is stacked. The majority of the team is the female athletes, right? Right, Peeb?
That's correct.
Absolutely. Shout out to Nopal Boxillanos, Nando Llamas, Javier Avila. We appreciate you guys being here. Aryan Yuda, Nopal Boxillanos, Red Glove Militant in the building. Shout out to everybody. You are tuning into the 67th edition of Hispanics Causin Panic on 1 hour earlier today that we could get Cristina Cruz, who gave us the time and give us that first podcast interview. We most definitely appreciate that. So make sure you share this on all your social media platforms. Hey, Dave, are you down with HCP?
Oh, man, I'm down with HCP, Hispanics, Causin Panic on a Taco Tuesday.
That's right. That's right. And what about you, Beeb? Are you down with HCP?
Since day one.
There we go. You know me, ladies and gentlemen. Catch the Shoe Shine every Monday, okay, here on YouTube, and catch Ringside Reporter every Sunday on, Ringside Reporter. Okay, make sure you check that out, guys. Let's go ahead and get some of these topics started. AJ versus Usyk announced for September 25th. It's on. England versus Ukraine. And let me tell you something. England's been bragging because they beat Ukraine in the European, game in soccer, and they were throwing shots at Klitschko. So I'm just saying, so there's a rivalry there, I guess. Is Ukraine going to take it from England, babe? Is it going to happen? Usyk, undisputed at cruiserweight. He's moving up. He's trying to make history like Holyfield did. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just don't see him being able to keep AJ off him. I think AJ is going to overpower him. I think AJ is just a big, strong guy. He's very heavy-handed. When he does step in with those shots and he does get, in that pocket, that mid-range area, not the greatest inside fighter, pretty good on the outside, but he's really dangerous in the mid-range. And Usyk goes right into his wheelhouse. That's where he's going to be, because he likes to go in and out, and he's more of a mid-range guy too. He's not an inside fighter. I think the guys that are going to bother AJ are the guys that could smother him, like what Ruiz did, and even Takam made the fight look a little difficult. It was a sloppy fight for AJ. Even Parker, when he got close, he kind of smothered him, and the ref really wouldn't let him work on the inside. So Usyk is not that rough and tumble, grind it out on the inside type of fighter. So that's where I think he's going to have problems. These finesse type fighters, in and out, flashy, flurry type fighters, I think AJ eats them for lunch, man. I just don't see Usyk. I don't see Usyk having a shot here. I really don't. With all due respect to him, he's a great fighter. I just don't think he's going to be the man at heavyweight. I don't think he's going to be unifying.
Cup man, though, right?
He's got a great cup, man. I gotta give Russ Hammer a lot of credit, because I was talking to him about that Nakatani Lomachenko fight, and he made me eat my words. So I got to give a shout out to him.
Man. He might make you eat your words again. If he comes on here and says, Usyk's got this, we got to bring him on. We got to bring him on the round.
You got to bring him on again, yeah.
That's right. Hey, 408 from the Shoe Shine. Catch the show every Monday here on YouTube. Hey, talk to us, brother. Talk to us. What's going on? Is Usyk gonna, shock the world here? What do you think?
Well, I'm excited for this. We just saw the undisputed 154 go nowhere. It's disputed as of this week still. And Usyk is of the modern era, a 4-belt division champion at cruiserweight, but I've not been impressed with him as heavyweight. Despite what my co-host Drew Evo thinks of Usyk as a heavyweight, I haven't seen him hurt anybody. And I keep going back and looking back at what Andy Ruiz was able to do. And part of me thinks that, on any given night, that might happen again too. AJ, but I don't think Usyk has enough power to hurt him and keep this fight honest, despite being flashy and whatnot. I've also seen Usyk seem to fade, even with his own output as the fights go on, and I think that's going to be easy pickings at the end of the fight with AJ's power. AJ has been looking a lot better since that loss, and I think part of that credit is something he did and he was open about was seeing a sports psychologist to reflect and get some counseling on that loss and what it meant to him. And he has looked markedly improved since that upset win. So I'm still, right now, it's quite a bit of ways, but September is going to shape up to be a really hot month for the sport of boxing. It's looking really good for September, and I'm excited that these two are going to go for it and have this fight.
Look, I'm looking forward to this fight. The poll is in the chat, by the way, guys. Who do you think is going to win, Usyk or AJ? Give us your honest opinion, of course. And we'll see where the chat goes with that. You know what I mean? So far, it's 50-50 so far. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. Let me tell you guys something.
Beeb just tilted a little bit. The Beeb tilted.
It's yeah, you did. I saw that. I can't vote because it's my own poll. YouTube doesn't let me vote on my own poll. I don't have a voice in my own poll.
I voted in my poll on Sunday. Or maybe because Eric was the administrator. That's why.
Yeah, that's probably
That
why.
was Eric's.
Well, you're
platform.
definitely going to have to do the poll again. As it's quite a bit of ways you're going to have to do this poll and see if people's minds change as we get closer. I may be swayed into
here's what I'll
camp.
say. You know, and we'll see that for sure. But here's what I'll say. First of all, hit my like button, guys. I appreciate everybody hitting the like, man. You guys are good today. You know what I mean? Hit the like button for those listening in. Shout out to H Money, Mr. DAZN. You know what I mean? He's always on YouTube. He always has content to give people. Make sure
the mighty H.
Yeah. So here's the thing. So there's two things. One, Andy Ruiz, as we all know, right? He's a big dude. You know, he's a heavy set guy. Is that a better way to say it, babe? Is that an acceptable way to describe
Yeah,
him?
I don't want you fat shaming. You were fat shaming him a couple months ago. I don't want you doing that again.
But what was giving AJ problems with Andy, right? Number one, Andy, as Ring IQ, I think perfectly described it, had that shock absorber because, you know, he had like a lot of, heavy set stuff, right? Which he kind of lost, losing a lot of the weight when he fought Arreola. But the one thing that stands out, aside from that, and I think Usyk has better, defense than Andy, right? So he'll make up with that a little bit, is the hand speed. He had a problem with Andy Ruiz's hand speed. Isn't it fair to say that the hand speed can give him problems in this fight? I think Usyk has, besides Andy, and it's debatable who has faster hands, some of the fastest hands AJ's ever seen. And stylistically, I think that's going to give AJ problems. I'm not saying that he's going to beat AJ. I'm just saying I could see that giving him a lot of problems. I think the in and out movement with that hand speed, and I have to disagree respectfully with 408. I saw him hurt Chisora late in that fight with the right hand. You know what I mean? I saw him catch his attention. And we don't have enough data to kind of base who he can or cannot hurt because he's only had 2 fights at heavyweight, which of course is a downside here. I mean, he doesn't have as much experience as AJ. I get that. But look, Vitaly Klitschko didn't stop Chisora. You know what I mean? So I don't know if that's an indication that he can't hurt guys. You know, you could probably make an argument that Chisora could take a better punch than AJ. All right? I'm just saying. Like AJ, if you catch him clean, you could take him down. And there's something about Ukrainians with straight right hands that can knock down AJ. It's happened before, Beeb. It's happened before.
Yeah, it's tough to say that he can't hurt him at all because you never know. Sometimes it just happens, right? Like Castano's not a big puncher, but he hurt Charlo, right? So this is the heavyweight division. Like I said, anything can happen, right? But Chisora got hurt, but he recovered quickly. Like Dillian White hit him and put him out. So that's the difference. I don't know. I don't even think Usyk has as fast as hands as Ruiz. I think Ruiz has faster hands than Usyk, and I think he brings more volume as well. I think he throws more punches than Usyk. I think Usyk. Fast, brother. Yeah, I would still say Andy's is faster, to be perfectly honest with you, because Chisora didn't have that much problems dealing with the speed, really, right? He had his way with him.
Ukrainian sensation, you know what I mean?
I mean, Chisora had his way with him for like the first 5 rounds, I would say, right?
Yeah. Usyk eats lightning and shits out thunder, brother. You know what I mean? That's how fast he is.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right for the sake of the fight being competitive and exciting. I don't want to see a blowout, but I think Joshua's going to stop him in about 7 rounds. That's just my opinion.
Altides Madre, how's it going, brother? Coco the Dawn, they got him. You know what I mean? No Paul Boxianos. LT Boxing de Madre, Sinister, the Free Thinker. No Paul Boxianos. Shout out to y'all, man. Major Key in the building. How's it going, brother? Feliciano and Stefan, how you guys doing? Hit my like button. Share this video on all your social media platform. 408, any final thoughts on this AJ Usyk fight? Anything you think people are leaving out here? What's the important take about this fight? Because it's actually happening. And I have to eat my crow. I didn't think it was going to happen, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm going to be curious with training camps, with all the COVID stuff going on, what kind of sparring partners both of these guys are going to be able to get and keeping COVID out of their camps, man, because we just saw that this weekend we're not going to have the heavyweight fight trilogy over people coming into training camps testing positive for COVID. So it might be a factor what kind of sparring these guys get.
Absolutely. Coco the Don says, that's it. These style convinced me. I'm going with Usyk. Usyk, they got him. I'm just making by the way, I'm making an argument as to why Usyk could give him problems. I'm not saying he's going to win, okay? But I haven't made up my mind yet. Like, I have to think about it. I really do, because I think a lot of people are overlooking Usyk. Bro, they're talking about Usyk like he's this itty-bitty little dude. He's 6'4", bro, okay? This guy was weighing in at 200, rehydrating to 215, 220. It's not like he's that small of a guy, you know what I mean? And I think people are underestimating how big he is. And you know what else? Didn't he show you guys something by taking flush shots? He took a couple from Chisora. Didn't he answer some questions as far as can he take some punches from a heavyweight?
So let me ask you this. Do you think that over time he'll grow into the division and maybe he'll be better as time goes on? Is he just getting acclimated, like those first 2 fights were him getting acclimated to the division, and you think that so. he could be better?
Yeah, like I think it's a matter of expectation. Like people thought, oh, he should go in there and just watch these guys, right?
Yeah.
I don't have any excuse over his debut, because he should have watched that guy, if I'm honest, right?
Yeah.
Witherspoon, that's what he fought, right?
Correct.
That was an old Witherspoon that Areola took out years ago. Like, he should have watched him, but it's not like he was in trouble in that fight or something, you know?
No,
we don't know if he was just trying to get rounds in. We just don't know.
Yeah, that was the perception that he was getting rounds in. So
yeah, absolutely. Bruce goes, how's it going, brother? Shout out to you. No Boxiano. Sergeant, how's it going, bro? Chief Funky in the chat. Shout out to Chief Funky. Couldn't make the show today, but we'll be back next week, popping. We'll be popping bottles and everything. You know what I mean? Just like Major Key showing those bottles. You know what I mean? That's what, those are mugs. I apologize. But nonetheless, we will see. We will see how it goes. 40 people have voted. 60% have AJ. But hey, if it's 60-40 on a poll, that's showing me we got a fight in our hands. You know what I mean? With the right game plan, I think Usyk has a shot here. I do. I think he has a shot to win. And you don't think there's some pressure on AJ to take him out because he's the little cruiserweight moving up, babe?
There's always pressure on AJ. Always pressure on AJ because he's got all those belts, and he's always looking ahead to unify, right? So he says to himself, if I slip up once, my dream of becoming the unified, or the undisputed, I should say, he is unified. My dream of becoming the undisputed heavyweight champion will go out the door if I can't beat Usyk, or if I can't beat anyone that's put in front of me, right? The big fight he wants is that undisputed. He's looking for Fury or Wilder.
Let me ask both you guys if you guys think it'll be a mistake for Usyk to focus on strength training for this fight.
No, I don't think it's a mistake to focus on that. No, not at all.
You're going to need that at heavyweight, brother.
I think strength training can be beneficial to any athlete, to be honest with you.
But while at heavyweight, he's going to... Are you saying like he might lose some speed or something like that?
Yeah. Well, if he's going to focus on actually packing on some extra weight, that might impact his mobility or muscularity.
Well, here's the thing, Dave. Strength training can also help with explosiveness as well. It can get them fast, twitchy muscle fibers going as well. So he may not put on weight. He may just work on things to make him more explosive, like work on some drills, right? So he could still put on muscle and not really, he could put on lean tissue and not really put on a ton of weight. He could recomp, in other words.
I asked that because we know that Andy Ruiz had a chance to fight him twice, and going into the second fight, he had an issue with weight. And then he decided to make all those moves with his own conditioning after the fact.
My thing is, people keep calling him small, but I mean, let's be honest, right? If Areola wasn't a heavy set dude, right, could he have been a cruiserweight? I believe so. Yeah. I think he has that frame. I don't think he's that big of a guy. I feel the same way about maybe not cruiserweight, but I feel like if Andy Ruiz had a six pack, if he was in Usyk shape, he'd probably weigh less than Usyk, if I'm honest. You know what I mean? I just don't think Usyk's the small dude. He's 6'4". He's the same height and almost dimensions as Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I'm that only came to mind because that's what Russ Amner said. So if anybody says that's wrong, these style, hey, Russ Amner said it. Okay, I'm just putting that out there.
I'm just looking at guys like Fury 6'9". I'm looking at like Wilder 6'7". I'm looking Joshua 6'6". Dillian White is 6'4", but he's a thick guy. Chisoro's a thick guy. These guys are just very stocky. They're dense. They're very dense. Usyk is a kind of a lean, thin, lanky guy. And when you look at the Muhammad Ali days and you look at the heavyweights back then and compare them to today, it's like night and day, bro. You can see the evolution of how bigger the heavyweights are today, right? They're just bigger men. They're just bigger men.
So now I know you have AJ winning. Who do you think is the better boxer, babe, of the two?
I'm gonna say AJ, to be perfectly honest with you. I think he's the better boxer.
So not only is he bigger, stronger, he's also a better boxer.
I'll tell you why, and I'm basing this off of versatility. I've seen AJ win in a numerous amount of ways. I've seen him overpower guys. I've seen him out finesse guys. Seen him even counterpunch too. You know, people say, and AJ can fight off the back foot a little bit too. He can sucker guys into that right hand. He can set traps. I think AJ is a very underrated boxer. The biggest problem with him is he's not the greatest defensive fighter. Now, if you ask me who's a better defensive fighter, I would tell you Usyk. But boxing, offensive wise, I think AJ offensively is more dangerous to me than Usyk is, because he not only can out finesse you, he can hurt you too.
Hey, 408. Would you be shocked if Usyk wins this fight, if he pulls it off? Would it shock you?
No, I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, it's totally conceivable he can edge out a decision. I just haven't made up my mind yet. It's way too far away. It's totally possible he can edge out. We were all shocked when Andy Ruiz knocked out AJ. So at the heavyweight division, anything could happen. That's what makes it so exciting. But I think to what B made some great points about the offense of AJ. I just think Usyk looks better all the way around. His accomplishments at cruiserweight, but we'll see if he's got the goods, man. This fight's going to be really exciting. Yeah. I'm looking forward to these polls, seeing where these polls go from here.
You know what's crazy? Pacquiao, we just change the subject a little bit, but I'm going to tie it all in. Pacquiao was a plus 350 about maybe, I want to say about a month and a half ago. He's down to a plus 175. Like the odds went slashed in half. I can kind of see a lot of late money going on Usyk, because a lot of people are saying a lot of the same things D-Style is saying, but they're even saying it more convincingly. And, D-Style is not sure who he's going to pick, but a lot of people are picking Usyk right now. So
right out of the gate.
Yeah, there's a lot more people picking Usyk than I imagined would, right? So
now I have a new poll up. Obviously, AJ won the poll. It'll say that way, but we'll see. I'll do another poll another week to see where people are, of course. AJ at 63% won. Who's the Hispanic causing panic of the week? I believe this is an easy poll, but people are saying, some people are telling me it's Raleigh. Okay, I put him on the poll against Brian Castano. Before we let you go, brother, I know you got to run. Talk to us and tell me who, in your opinion, is the Hispanic Causin panic of the week.
Well, actually, I can stay on for a little bit longer if you don't have a bunch of other panelists, but so we can answer that question later unless you guys want to go to that right now. That's a great topic.
Okay, that's fine. Go ahead. Yeah, you could stay. I don't have a problem with that.
It's going to be Brian Castano today. This whole week we should be celebrating this great new Argentinian champion. Unfortunately, he didn't get the nod, and I'm sure are we going to do a segment on that, on the Brian Castano?
We're doing it now.
Oh man, I mean, listen. On our podcast, our individual podcast, everyone does. I've been trying to get make a bold prediction for months, right? G Funky was very successful picking Valdez. I've been jealous the whole time. My boy Drew Evil had the same pick, and I've been looking for mine. And this Monday, I should have gotten my glory, and so should Brian Castano on Saturday night. That's it. I mean, he should have won that fight. Overwhelmingly, all social media polls pointed that he won. Even Showtime, Even the trainer of Jermell Charlo told him he needed the knockout to win this fight. So that tells you where he thought his scorecard was. And it didn't pan out that way. The state of Texas has a long history of controversial decisions. But one thing I read today, Dougie Fisher had written an article, was that the promotional company still pays for this fight, still pays for the judges' many, whatever, the hotel bills and things as such. It comes out of the pocket of the promoter. And I want to know if people think that in this time of age of boxing, if there should be a conflict of interest, and should the promoter be paying for some of the bills that the judges incur?
Hey, Coco, the boxing channel, don't leave it up to the judges. They're going to screw Castano again. They got him. All right, shout out to Coco the Don. Much appreciated. Beeb, who's a Hispanic Causin panic of the week in your opinion? Is it Raleigh? Are you one of the dudes that voted for Raleigh Romero? Is it because he might? I mean, causing panic is in the eye of the beholder, right?
I gotta be honest. I was gonna give it to you, man. You did a show every day this week, and you did a show twice on Sundays. But no, Castano, you
that was just a joke. All right.
No, I'm giving it to you, but as a broadcaster and journalist, you're gonna win that for the journalist side. But on the fighter side, we're gonna give it to Castano.
All right. Okay.
So you're gonna share that honor with Castano. You and him are tied.
Yeah, so guys, vote. I know some people are like so offended they don't even want to vote. They're like, "What the hell is this?" You know what I mean? But hey, Raleigh Romero, he did get that devastating knockout, though. You know what I mean? He got that devastating knockout, and did he cause some panic calling out Tank? I mean, he almost gave Jim Gray a heart attack. You know, when he called out Tank. You know, Jim Gray was like, "What, you want a what?" Jim Gray, he always gives people that look when he thinks they're being stupid, like.
I like when he asks a question sometimes and they answer it like really incredulously, and he'll be like, "What you mean? Really? Like he sits there and goes back and forth with them. Oh, funniest thing is when James Toney slapped the mic out of his hand. Don't you run up on me? Don't you run up on me?
Shout out to Happletype says, "What's up, HCP?" Hashtag HCP. I'm going to share this on the social media platform. I'm being joined by Dave 48 of the Shoeshine and the one and only Joe Habib from Ringside Reporter. Subscribe to their channels. So check this out. Right. So I think it's fair to say that Brian Castano is the HCP of the week. Okay.
Absolutely.
We're going to be talking about, of course, the Canelo plant thing next, guys. So stay tuned, stay put. But I first want to bring up Joyce Takam. It'll be happening this weekend. Slow Joyce, as some called him, and mocked him. And then you know what he did? Everybody was laughing at Joe Joyce. Oh, he's so slow. Oh, he's this. And then nobody was laughing, right, when he made his opponent, Dubois, bend the knee. You know what I mean? In front of the world. Okay, and he was using that, hammer fist jab right on the eye. You know what I mean? With precision, right? I mean, have you ever seen this hammer fist used with such precision?
It's like Thor.
Right?
It's like Thor.
It's like he's worthy, right? That's why he could do damage with it. It's not about power; he's just worthy.
Moliere.
Who's going to win this fight, Beeb? Does Takam have a shot in this fight?
Joe Joyce, TKO, round 6.
Okay.
Here's the thing about Joe Joyce. He's a very, very, very heavy-handed guy. Everything he throws hurts because he's one of those guys, like certain fighters just have big, fat ham hock hands, right? And he's one of those guys that has like lunch boxes for hands, right? So I think that the jab is going to really make Takam think twice about trying to come in there, because that's his game on the inside, right? He likes to grind it on the inside. I just think he'll get hit with one or two of those jabs and he'll get knocked on his heels. And I don't think he'll be able to get inside effectively enough to really do enough damage to win this decision or hurt Joe Joyce. He's not a big puncher either, Takam. So it's gonna be a tough ask for Takam. But I will say this: it's a good opponent for Joe Joyce, because this is a guy that's gonna keep coming at him. He's gonna be aggressive, right? And it'll be good work for Joe Joyce. I don't want to, with all due respect to Takam, I don't want to talk about him like he's a sparring partner, but he's a type of opponent that, you have to work to keep him off you. So.
Hey, but Beeb, I mean, here's the thing. Takam is just training. That's all he has to focus on, right?
Correct.
Joe Joyce, I mean, he does shows every morning on the Boxing Voice. He does two shows at night. I don't know. He's kind of busy to me, bro. He's always on YouTube. When does he train, bro?
He looks like, I love that.
The Boxing Joyce. Shout out to Nestor Gibbs, by the way. G Funky says he's a lost his lost twin. You know what I mean? So, but 408 when the Shushan.
Yeah, I can remember when we were on here on a round table debating who was going to win that Daniel Dubois fight with Joe Joyce, and I think we overwhelmingly were disregarding what chance Joe Joyce had, and my opinion completely changed on Joe Joyce when he shattered the orbital bone of the young hot prospect. And Carlos Takam has been in a lot of fights. He's fought AJ. He's kind of an old 40 now. While Joe Joyce isn't specifically a young man, he doesn't have a lot of mileage. He hasn't really taken a lot of abuse. So I'm going to agree with Joe Beeb that that jab is enough to keep this fight, keep him at bay. This is going to be fun. I'm glad there's a heavyweight fight this weekend. We were supposed to get a card full of heavyweight action this weekend, but this is a good fight. I'm not even sure where we're going to watch it. You guys know where we can watch this here in the States?
It's not available.
It's not available at all, is it? Isn't it on ESPN? It's not on ESPN Plus either?
From my understanding, unless it's changed since this morning, it's not.
Oh, that's horrible.
Maestro he even tweeted out about it. He was angry. Maestro's a big Joe Joyce guy. You know what I mean? Like, that fight's not going to be there. And it's a shame, I mean, why not?
And Maestro might have been the only one who picked him that day, if I can remember correctly. But yeah, I'm going with Joe Joyce on this one.
Did you pick Joyce, Dave?
No, I didn't.
Did Drew pick Joyce?
I don't know. He's in here now, but I don't remember many of us having Joe Joyce.
Is Drew in the chat? Drew, did you pick?
He is.
Drew, did you pick Joe Joyce over Dubois? Yeah, I thought he did.
Now, that hammer fist jab, I don't know if it's going to be working in every fight for him, but make no mistake about it, I do think he has more tools, obviously, on his toolbox. It just happens to be that one tool really was working for him against that specific opponent, Dubois. And the one thing that is big at heavyweight is being able to take a punch. And he was taking some big shots from a guy known to be a puncher in Dubois. That's got to be concerning to a lot of guys at the heavyweight division. He reminded me of Michael Myers, like the way he just kept coming. And I think, Dubois definitely succumbed to not only the pressure, but to that hammer fist jab. You know what I mean? So the guy definitely has a really good jab. He throws it from short distance, but with power. And I think he has studding punches that do hurt guys. So I got Joyce winning. Okay, I got Joyce winning. Mid-round stop, it sounds about right. Although Takam's a durable guy, though. You know what I mean? It can go decision. He's a durable dude. He went the distance with AJ, so shout out to him. All right, and all that. And make sure you hit my like button, guys. Make sure you hit my like button. Oscar Valdez, okay, it's been announced September 10th, Tucson, Arizona. This fight will be on ESPN Plus. All right, it's gonna return against Robson Conceicao. All right, so 408. What do you think of this matchup and just in general? Valdez coming back and Xander Zayas is on the undercard. Tucson, Arizona.
Man, I really wanted to see Jamel Herring and Oscar Valdez get it on right away. I wanted to see them unify their belts together on Top Rank. Now, I'm a little disappointed, but I have to give credit to this Brazilian fighter. He is an Olympic gold medalist. He's not a bum. But if you look at his resume professionally, it's really thin. He's fought guys with 6, 7 losses, 12 losses. I don't think he's ready for what Oscar Valdez as a professional fighter is going to bring to him in September. That being said, he's not a club fighter. This is a guy with an Olympic gold medal. On paper, it should be a good fight, but I didn't think Oscar Valdez could get past Burchell. And here we are, Oscar Valdez is one of the best fighters, in my opinion, at 130 pounds. It's probably not going to go very long. It's probably going to end in a knockout. I pick Oscar Valdez on this one, and I'm excited again. This is probably the second time that Xander Zayas will be on the same card as Oscar Valdez, and he seems to do really well with the crowd when he's on the same card. So I'm looking forward to this for sure, man.
Just a quick correction. AJ did stop the count, right? So I just want to throw that out there. Was a controversial decision, but or decision to stop the fight, but nonetheless, so I wanted to throw that out there just for the sake of accuracy, right? Fact checking is important here. The producer backstage let me know. You know what I mean? So, hey, Remy, I appreciate the support, brother. It says the only havoc Raleigh created this week, and on a daily basis, is when he ties his shoes, choking the hell out of him. Oh man. Jesus Christ. A shout out to Raleigh Romero, who is getting destroyed on this poll. Okay, but I just want to throw that out there. Speak your mind, sports talk. D Jefferson in the building. How's it going? JC, how's it going to you as well? Hit my like button, guys. Hit my like button. Let's get a 50 likes ASAP. Let's do that. Okay. Let's go ahead and switch gears here. All right. And talk the main event of the evening, ladies and gentlemen. Coppinger came out, right? And he made a tweet saying, quote unquote, close to a done deal. They're at the brink. And a source told him, hey, we're at the brink of doing it. You know what I mean? So there's people excited. By the way, that doesn't mean it's official. At least from my knowledge, it's not official yet. Okay. Unless some article came out, making it official. I don't know. Right. Look, I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer here. I'm just not. But when Coppinger says something, I don't take it as gospel or something. You know what I mean? Do I think, maybe it's possible, but he's been wrong about a lot of things. He assured everybody that AJ Fury was happening. You know what I mean? That, don't even worry about arbitration. It's going to happen. Just watch. You know what I mean? So I don't know what to think about Coppinger tweeting this out, but he did, and it's getting everybody exciting. I guess good news is better than bad news at the end of the day. Plant, Canelo, Fox pay-per-view, possibly. Big event. Babe, what's your intuition telling you about this? Do you believe this?
I'm going to surprise you because I'm always the guy that rips Coppinger to shreds. But Eric and I have a source that's pretty close to the Canelo camp, and he's telling me, originally he told me that things were going bad. Louis DeCubas was being hard with the negotiations, but I'm actually hearing good things from him right now. He's saying it looks like it's going to get done actually. So wow. I was very, very skeptical on whether this fight was going to happen. And I was pretty much saying it wasn't going to happen. I was in the camp that was saying that Plant was going to move on and fight somebody else. But I'm very optimistic that this fight happens in September right now from what I've been hearing.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Multiple sources always works. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
408. Do you think we're going to get this fight? What's your intuition telling you, brother?
As of last week, I had decided in my head it wasn't going to happen. I maybe came in one of your rooms in the chat and put that up there. So I welcome this news. I know that Coppinger has a bad history of sometimes being inaccurate, but I'm really welcoming the news. One of the primary reasons why I didn't think this fight was going to happen was because Plant's history of saying he needs X amount of time to train. He's done this before. I need the entire full 8 to 12 week camp. And Canelo, because I've gone to so many of his Mexican Independence Day fights in Vegas, he never fights after the holiday, after the official Mexican Independence holiday. It's always the weekend before. That would have put like 6-7 weeks of training camp, but this makes it almost 7-8 weeks. Like I'm really happy to hear that Plant is willing to sell that belt. My only curiosity is what incentive are they giving Canelo with the one fight deal, right? He takes the belt, he's undisputed. Then what's left for the PBC 168-pound fighters? They're going to have to negotiate every single deal with Canelo. Benavidez will have to go and negotiate a one-shot deal with Canelo. Every single guy that wants him from PBC will have to do the same. So I'm rather surprised that I'm not hearing it's a 3-fight deal. Nothing indicates that it's just going to be a 1-fight deal. And you know, credit to Plant if he's willing to pony up and name his price. This is a fight he needs to make for his own personal legacy. Whether he wins or not, he needs to make this fight.
Absolutely. Philly Irish Drew says, I'll make the pick for me and Dave for Usyk by UD, because my picks mostly puts us in for glory. Does he outpick you all the time for it? Is he outdoing you with the picks? Is that what it is?
I'm not keeping count, but I mean, he's had some good ones. He's had some good ones over 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I remember he took a pie for one, so I don't know.
He's had some bad ones too, right? That's the way
but
it
I
goes.
took a pie too, so I guess I can't talk shit. You know what I mean? But new poll, guys, are you optimistic about Canelo versus Plant? Okay. So there's already 18 votes right there. 94% saying yes. Let's see how the poll continues. Check this out, guys. Now, you asked the question, what does it do for Fox? I mean, look, there's been rumors, right, that Fox was thinking about getting rid of PBC and not having boxing, right? So, but they've delivered with Pacquiao Spence, and if they could deliver with Canelo versus Plant, it leaves the door open to have a working relationship with Canelo. So then when you want to do the Benavidez fight, you know, maybe you could do it on Fox. That's their incentive, but mostly it gives Fox a big event, and maybe that can help Al get a year extension or something with PBC. You know what I mean? I think that's the incentive, if anything. And then there's the upside of what if Plant wins? What if Plant doesn't win, but it's close and competitive? I mean, Canelo's known as a dude. Right now, he's perceived as a guy that's destroying careers, smashing faces. You just got to win 4 or 5 rounds against Canelo and look good. And there's an upside to that. There's no doubt in my mind that there's an upside to that. Like, okay, you lost, but you lost to the pound for pound best. You know, and maybe you get a rematch or you know, you can leverage yourself for other fights. So his profile goes up, not to mention, what if he wins? What if Plant wins this fight? Overnight, Caleb Plant will be a superstar. Overnight, right? Like, I guarantee you, if Caleb Plant wins, there will be a parade for him in Nashville, Tennessee, right? Country music and everything. You know what I mean? And everything. I'm just saying, right? Plus, I heard all his exes live in Texas. That's why he hangs his hat in Tennessee. All right, that's what I heard. You know what I mean? But look, there's no reason why Plant should not take this fight. What's the downside to this fight for Plant? Can you name one, Beeb?
None. Even if he loses, it doesn't matter. I mean, you're going to get a big payday. And, you know, you can still go back over to the PBC and fight those guys, right? So there is no downside. I guess the thing is
a downside for it.
I don't see a downside. I was thinking about this today driving in the car. Once Canelo becomes undisputed and holds all 4 titles, then they're going to start telling him, you need to face this mandatory. You're going to have 4 competing sanctioning bodies telling him, you got to fight this mandatory. And occasionally you get these mandatories like Yildirim that are a complete waste of time and just interrupt the big fights that need to be made. So he ends up vacating one of the belts. Maybe he vacates 2.
Yeah.
You know, Canelo's already said the belts don't really mean anything to him in the long term in his legacy. But it is a great talking point. He's making history by collecting all 4 belts. You saw the list this weekend. There's less than 10 guys who've actually held on the 4 belts at once. It's great to have that. But at some point, he's going to give up those belts. And that puts Plant in a position to win it back, to win one of these belts back. Yeah. So there is no downside, only an upside. He needs to take this fight. Hopefully he can agree upon a price as soon as possible.
I was thinking the same thing too, Dave, that once he becomes undisputed, he's not going to want to deal with all those ridiculous mandatories back to back to back. There's too much money to be made for him to pass up bigger fights for mandatories, right?
Right. And he has a history of letting belts that he has want to go.
Yeah, exactly.
Shout out to Maestro A Boxing. Everybody subscribe to the channel. Boxing Historian 206. Boxer Girl, Mad Dog, Philly Irish Drew, who's part of the Shoe Shine as well. Nando Llamas, A-Rod. He'll be on tonight on El Al Chile, part of the HCP network. Make sure you guys tune in tonight, okay, to that show and all that good stuff. Okay, that's Al Chile A-Rod. Look, I've already given this analogy several times, but, you know, just in case, if those that already heard the analogy, forgive me, but it's such a good analogy. You guys want to hear it again. So here it goes. Okay. It's like if you're at a poker table, right? Canelo has all the chips. He has the A-side chips. He has the money chips. Okay. He has the draw chips, the legacy chips. Okay. The biggest payday of your life chips. He's got all the chips, like all of them. He's got the IBF chip, not the IBF, but the WBA, WBC, WBO chips. You know what I mean? He's got those chips. He's got small chips, big chips, medium chips. He's got this full table with these chips, right? Now he could take these chips and go to another table, and he could go play with like at the the 175 one if he wants. You know what I mean? He could go to another table and tell the guys at 168, come here, pay me for these chips. But it's only him and Plant at 168 right now. Plant has one chip. That's all he's got, Beeb. That's all he's got, 408. He's got one chip now. Canelo wants that chip, right? I want that chip. Okay? Give me that chip. I'm going to put all these chips on the line because I want your chip. Where's the fucking downside for Plant? Bro, look at what you win if you win. Look at what Canelo gets if he wins. It's not even close. So when he's talking about this fights are undisputed, I mean, I should get, more money than this guy and that guy. Bro, you only got one chip, brother. Now, Canelo wants a chip. But with all those chips, you'll be a fool, right? Babe, if someone had $5,000 worth of chips, and they told you, just bet me 100, let's play a game of poker, winner takes all. Do you take that game?
I do. But
you'll be a fool, right?
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
He's just trying to get the most he can out of this deal. I don't think he's necessarily pricing himself out. He's just trying to maximize what he can get, in my opinion. I did think and question whether or not he wanted to fight because of what he was saying, initially. But I've changed my stance on that. I do believe he wants to fight, and I think he's just trying to negotiate hard, right? If he can get 12 instead of 10, then why? Ask for 12 and get 10. Don't ask 10 and then get 8, right? What do they always tell you?
Of course.
Go high, right? So,
yeah, I have no issue with him negotiating to get more money because, yes, it's only one chip, but it's a very valuable chip, and it's one that Canelo wants, right? He really wants it, so I understand that, right? But it's not official yet, though. The fight's not official yet.
No, but on a positive note, we're not hearing him say things about, I need more time, I need this, I need that. He just basically has indicated, or at least this is what I've gotten from him, I want the best deal that I can get for myself. I deserve the best deal. I'm be honest with you, I think he does deserve a better deal than Billy Joe Saunders. In my opinion, that's just my opinion. I think he does. Because
so what you're saying is, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I pretty much made the point.
So what you're saying is that you gotta know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, know when to run. Never count your money while it's sitting on the table. There'll be enough time for counting when the dealing's done, right? Shout out to Apple Type. Chicano Prophet, I appreciate the support, brother. He says, Plant just doesn't want to get hospitalized without being paid. I get it, man. Man, oh, man.
Well, Chicano brings up a great point. Chicano brings up a really great point. There was a time after that Saunders fight that I was starting to think, does Caleb Plant really believe in himself? Maybe it's in his head now that he can't beat Canelo. So he's definitely, not only does he want the most amount of money possible, he likens the belt to like a personal residence that is up for sale, and he's going to squeeze out every last dime out of somebody buying his house. But does he really believe in himself? Or did the thought that he could sustain a serious career-ending injury like Caleb, like Saunders just had, right? Saunders has a potentially career-ending injury. So if it is that much at risk, why not ask for an amount that may seem absurd to the rest of us?
Yeah. Hey, by the way, shout out to Calix. He said that it was Carl Froch's birthday recently. Shout out to Carl Froch. I mean, they had this. I forgot who tweeted it out. It was this amazing, like slow motion video of Carl Froch shadow boxing. But then somebody told me that's real speed. I was like, what? You know what I mean? Like, what do you mean that's real speed? That's real speed. Like, what? Yeah, ain't no way he's gonna beat freaking Calzaghe, bro. Like, you know what I mean? With that speed.
And
It's
then
too slow, right?
And then I was watching highlights of Joel Calzaghe, and my eyes were hurting me. I couldn't focus because his hands were so fast.
Right. It's just too fast. And like they gotta slow him down, like Bruce Lee. You know what I mean? Like,
Slow him down. You gotta slow him down.
Hey guys, look at this. You're turning to Hispanics causing panic. We're going to be ending the show briefly, real soon here. And I want to thank Beeb and 408. One more question for you guys. Somebody put it in the chat. I think it's a good question. Is Caleb Plant going to be a tougher fight for Canelo than Billy Joe Saunders was, or even Smith? Is it going to be the toughest fight for him, Beeb, at 168?
I hate to say this. I have low expectations for the fight, but I hope I'm wrong. I think the fight's going to end up very similar to the Billy Joe Saunders fight, to be perfectly honest with you. I just think it's going to be the same. You can even make an argument that Billy Joe Saunders has better footwork than Caleb Plant. Maybe he may be quicker on his feet than Caleb Plant, because Caleb Plant has very quick hands. He's more of a guy who uses upper body movement, and he uses subtle foot movement, whereas Billy Joe Saunders moves a lot, right? So it may not be as hard for Canelo to cut the ring off against a Caleb Plant, because Caleb Plant is going to try to, dip and duck, slip and slide up top. But guess what? That torso is not going anywhere, right? So that's the problem. I think he's going to get stopped too in about 6 rounds myself, 6 or 7 rounds.
Damn.
So I to answer your question, I think he suffers a very similar fate as Billy Joe Saunders did.
Okay. All right. A shout out to everyone listening on the radio version, by the way, iHeart, Stitcher, Apple Podcast. We appreciate you guys tuning in, listening in. Obviously, we never want to forget the audio audience. 408. Who's a better matchup for this guy, man? Billy Joe or Plant?
Actually, I think Billy Joe was it was a harder fight, and we saw how that ended. And I say that because Caleb's resume at a championship level, it's thin, and he does well against guys that he outworks them very easily, but he doesn't throw that many punches. And the fact that he's not, is he a southpaw? He's not a southpaw, right?
No,
exactly.
He's orthodox.
And like B pointed out, his footwork, it's nowhere near as good as Billy Joe Saunders. So Canelo's going to have an easy time cutting off the ring and doing what he wants to do with Caleb Plant's body right in front of him. So I would find it very hard to believe that Caleb Plant makes it past the 9th round.
Caleb Plant doesn't get past the 9th round, bro. Let me tell you something, man. I've been finding myself using this term like a lot with Canelo fights ever since he moved up. And that term is torso, right? Beef's done several shows with me, and I keep bringing up the torso. I don't have an obsession with torsos, guys, okay? But it's one thing that just stands out with the way Canelo uses these guys' long torso against them, right? He turns, and I like the way Calix words it. He doesn't say reach advantage. He just says, the reach difference. You know what I mean? Canelo finds a way to turn what should be advantages, right, like arm length, into a disadvantage, and that's too much torso for him to attack, too much torso for him to punish, in my opinion. And I think that's something Plant's never dealt with. He's never dealt with someone who's going to get on his chest like that and attack the body. He never has. And so, and let me tell you something. And I know you said this, Beeb, and it always stuck with me. When you were watching him fight Truax, you were like imagining him fighting Canelo, right? So any success Truax had, it's almost like you have to like amplify it. Like just imagine what Canelo would have done in that situation right there, right? And that's what I kept telling myself, and it's a great point, right? And that's why people should tune into Ringside Reporter on Sundays to listen to these great points. You know what I mean? Hey, this has been a great show, guy. Maestro, I appreciate it. My nominee for Hispanic Panic of the Week, Amilcar Vidal. You know what I mean? Amilcar Vidal.
Arriba, la raza.
You know what I mean? Alexis has, the eyes for Canelo, so shout out to you. Kelly's boxing, he's better puncher than Saunders, though, and he'll trade a bit. Let me tell you guys something, man. Tomorrow, in the ring with Christine, make sure you check out Women Crushing the Wednesdays, followed by Power Punchers with myself and Calix. That's at Calix Boxing. 408, tell everybody where they could find your brother and your show and all that good stuff here on YouTube.
I appreciate you guys having me on. I'm excited at the prospect that your show, The Roundtable, might be going on a 1-year anniversary pretty soon. But you can find the Shoe Shine on Monday nights. Been building up the channel slowly. So if you guys want to check me out, hit me up at the Shoe Shine. I'm going to drop the link here Monday nights. And if you can't watch it because you're watching another show, that's cool too. Hit me up on the replay and drop a comment or a like. I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much, These Styles. And Beeb, always a pleasure.
Oh, always a pleasure.
Also, guys, Al Chile on A-Rod's channel, okay? For all you drop the link, guys, he drops a link, you know what I mean? Shout out to Shoe Shine, or as A-Rod calls him, El Shoe Shine. You know what I mean? So, hey, Beeb, tell everybody where they can find you, brother.
You can find me at Ringside Reporter Live here on YouTube. J Habib on Twitter, Joe Habib on Facebook, Joe Habib on Instagram. We go live every Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. So make sure you check us out.
With that, 52 live, 51 likes, 1 dislike. You know what I mean? At least let me know they're there. You know, that's I always appreciate it. Okay. Skinny Kenny, it's not a done deal as of right now, but there's a lot of optimism and a lot of sources outside of Coppinger, right? And all that good stuff. Shout out to JC. Chushan posted the link there so you guys can subscribe. Beep could post a link as well. And if A-Rod Boxeo, there we go. He posted the link, so everyone posts. He's right there as A-Rod 83 Boxeo. Go there, subscribe to his channel, and so you can tune into Al Chile later tonight. You know what I mean? All that good stuff. This is D-Style Boxing. Thank you to everybody. In the words of Nando Llamas. All right. HC Peace. This is D-Style Boxing. Keep it boxing. We're out.